What's going on, MMA fans? I'm here to do my UFC 86 Jackson vs. Griffin predictions. Gonna work my way from the bottom of the main card and work my way to the top like I usually do. First fight on the main card, Tyson Griffin versus Marcus Aurelio. Tyson Griffin fighting with extreme couture, good wrestling base, improved technical striking. He's looked a lot better in his last couple fights. He looked really good against Gleison Tibau, employing that game plan of just standing up with Tibau. Fought Thiago Tavares, Clay Guida, one of the few guys to stop Uriah Faber. And he's fought Frankie Edgar as well. Marcus Aurelio, fighting out of ATT, world-class grappler on the ground. He's fought the likes of Takanori Gomi, Michihiro Ishida, Clay Guida, Naoki Kitani. Griffin, I think Griffin takes this fight. I think Griffin will use a game plan similar to what he used against Tibau, try to stand. Aurelio's an unorthodox striker. If you've seen the Gomi fights and the Guida fights, I mean, you can attest to that. Aurelio's also had issues in the past with cutting weight, especially to 155, and gassing. And I think that Griffin is explosive. He's got a good gas tank, and I think he takes this fight. Griffin, unanimous decision. Next fight, Josh Koscheck versus Chris Lytle. Josh Koscheck training out of AKA. Good wrestling base, good submission defense, improved stand-up. He's fought Dustin Haslett, George St. Pierre, Diego Sanchez, Jeff Jocelyn, Jonathan Goulet. The list goes on for Josh Koscheck. Chris Lytle, improved boxing skills, good jiu-jitsu skills. I think he's training out of IFS. He's fought Kyle Bradley, Matt Hughes. He fought Thiago Alves, Joe Riggs, Caro Parisian, so on and so forth. Koscheck, it's a pretty simple game plan. If you got to stand, I think Koscheck can last long enough with Lytle on the feet, but he's just going to consistently take Lytle down, overpower him, use his explosiveness, keep out of submissions, ground and pound, and Lytle's a tough guy to finish, so I'm going to go with Josh Koscheck via unanimous decision. Bad stylistic matchup for Chris Lytle. Next fight, Joe Stevenson versus Gleison Tibau. Joe Stevenson fighting with Mark Lehman's Cobra Kai. Stevenson is a improved jiu-jitsu, improved stand-up, good wrestling base. Fought the likes of BJ Penn and lost to him. Fought Kurt Pellegrino, Melvin Gillard, Eve Edwards. Gleison Tibau, of course, just coming off of his loss to Tyson Griffin. He fights with ATT down in Coconut Creek. He fought Terry Edom. He's also fought Nick Diaz in the past. Stevenson, I think he's going to use a similar game plan to what Griffin used. Leg kicks. Try to keep Tibau away from him from the clinch. Try to avoid, Tibau, trying to clinch up with him. And Stevenson's probably going to use some footwork. And I think you may even see Stevenson towards the end of rounds try to take Tibau down. I think this fight's going to go back and forth, but I'm going to go with Stevenson via split decision. I think it's going to be a close fight, a lot closer than people think. But I think Stevenson's going to pull it out. Next fight, Ricardo Almeida versus Patrick Cote. Ricardo Almeida, world-class ADCC grappler. Of course, taking the hiatus off for 2 to 3 years. His last fight was against Rio Shonen in Pride. It was like, I think, a Bushido event, Bushido 3 or 4. Almeida, beating Rob Yunt via that vicious guillotine choke. Yunt trying to throw him over on his head. He's fought Nate Marquardt, Kazuo Masaki, Matt Lindland, Ikehishu Minowa. I mean, he's fought some top-tier guys. Patrick Cote is fighting with BTT in Canada, imploring Mark Delagrati for his stand-up. He's got a lot better on the ground. His takedown defense has gotten better. His stand-up has gotten a lot better, more technical. Patrick Cote, beating Drew McFedries, beating Kendall Grove. He beat Jason Day before he came back in with the UFC for his 2-fight run. He fought Scott Smith. He fought Tito Ortiz. Almeida is sick on the ground. Where he gets people down a lot is in the clinch, and when he shoots in for takedowns really, really quickly. But I think what Cote is going to do is probably use a game plan, employing his footwork, employing leg kicks, trying to keep Almeida away, and knowing that giving Almeida something to think about, and leg kicks, inside leg kicks, the body shots, the jab, that will deter someone, and throwing knees, that will deter someone for going for takedowns. And I think Almeida will, at points of this fight, probably score and probably even win a round. But I think Cote is going to be strong enough to keep Almeida from taking him down consistently. And I'm going to go with a split decision for Patrick Cote. I think this is going to be a close fight too. I will not, and when I say this, I will not be surprised if Cote messes up and Almeida catches him. But I think Cote is in a better place in his training. I think that he will be able to handle that, and I think he takes this fight via split decision. Next fight, Quentin Rampage Jackson versus Forrest Griffin. Of course, Rampage, he's in a better place now in his training. He looks a lot better than he did in Pride. He's using a new trainer with Juanito. He's using a new boxing coach as well, besides Juanito, and a jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai coach. He's fought some of the best guys in the world. Dan Henderson, Ricardo Arona, Shogun Hua, Kashuzi Sakuraba, Vanderlei Silva, Matt Lenlin, Chuck Liddell, Marvin Eastman, list goes on. Forrest Griffin, just beat Shogun via the rear naked choke. He fought Hector Ramirez, he's fought Stephan Bonner, he's fought Keith Jardine, he's fought Elvis Sinisek. Forrest, where he's better in this fight than Rampage, is in the jiu-jitsu factor. Rampage, I think, is stronger in the clinch. We saw that, even though Dan Henderson is a smaller 205, he did really good against a guy that had great Greco. And that's not, I'm not trying to import MMA math here, but Henderson is really, really good with his Greco. And you can see that Quentin is just in a better place with his training. He looks a lot better and more comfortable in the clinch than he used to. And I think that he's a better boxer technically than Forrest. I think he's better with some of the leg kicks that he throws. And I definitely think he's a better wrestler. I think he's got great wrestling base. And I wouldn't be surprised if he starts taking Forrest down at points in this fight and just keeping busy on Forrest. And I'm going to say that Rampage beats Forrest in the 4th round via TKO. I think he's going to overwhelm Forrest. He's going to just come after Forrest. He's going to pressure Forrest. And that's what Jardine did to Forrest. And Forrest kind of, he kind of looked like, oh man, what the hell is going on? So I think Quentin's going to take this fight. I think he's just going to be stronger in the clinch, stronger in the stand-up, and definitely stronger on the ground, and be able to withstand any submission attempts that Forrest throws. So those are my predictions for this event. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments, constructive, negative, positive, and I'll be back the night after the event. I'll be on to do my review video after the event, the night of, or the day after. On that note, you guys have a great day.